So much tea in F1 this week. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. Welcome to the 107 podcast with myself, Jacob, and my co-host, Ash. And yes, that was my intro, by the way. It was just me sipping tea because there's lots of tea this week. This is how creative we are on this show.
Yeah, I don't get it, but okay, let's get
tea
going.
as in drama. Is it? Oh, for God's sake. Right, anyway. First bit of tea, I'm looking for a new podcast host. So there's obviously a hell of a lot of drama at the moment in the world of F1. Seemingly, the Lewis to Ferrari news was the tip of the iceberg at this point. There are various different stories circling at the moment. And so we are going to do this extra special episode of the podcast to just run through those, essentially. If you've just come from our Bahrain Grand Prix review episodes, which we would have just dropped, then welcome. And if you haven't heard that, we will be doing all of like race reviews and stuff like that in that other episode. So go ahead and check that out if you're mostly only here for race related news. This will be pretty much all off track stuff.
We should make this a series like Drive to Survive, but we shouldn't. We'll have like the official. Like, this is what happened in the race.
Like a spin-off series, yeah.
But a spin-off series,
yeah.
For those of you that weren't happy with Drive to Survive or what Drive to Survive could be next year, this is where you can come for the real Formula One. Because this is it. This is the real Formula One. It's the off-track drama.
What is it you always say? Go on. You know exactly what quote I'm asking you for.
It's just left my head. It's literally just left my head. Do you know it off by heart? Because I've told you so many times.
It's something along the lines of, it is the biggest circus, and they sometimes go racing.
Yeah,
something along those lines.
Formula One is a circus, and occasionally on Sundays they go racing.
That's it. Well, sometimes Saturdays, apparently, if Ramadan pops up. So the news we're going to talk about is all of the stuff going on within the Red Bull team. So obviously we're talking Horner, we're talking Max, maybe going even to Mercedes if for some reason Helmut Marko leaves, because apparently there's a clause in Max's contract that allegedly if Helmut Marko leaves, then Verstappen is able to leave as well. Like he has a contract protecting each other or whatever it is. We also have Alpine leaking staff, and people resigning from that team, and Mohammed Ben Sulayem is now being investigated for interfering with a race, and also allegedly, we don't have a source for this as well, Ford, because of the whole situation at Red Bull, are allegedly looking into withdrawing from their deal with Red Bull. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on. This is absolutely mad.
Why, right?
Well, why?
Because the race was so boring.
Well, I mean, I thought it was average.
Formula One relevant.
It was an average race. I think just exactly like Jeremy Clarkson, my money is on Adrian Newey to win every single week, essentially at this point. So speaking of, he did a really terrible but good job of waving the flag in Bahrain. Honestly, he waved it once, and then when I'm done, oh wait, no, I've got to carry on waving. Oh, for God. But perfect person to ask to do it. Honestly, absolutely perfect person to ask. I was really happy to see him waving the flag. But yes, so the first story we will jump into is apparently the head of the FIA trying to impact the outcome / penalties during a race. So we'll talk about that first, and then we will jump into the big belly, which is obviously Christian Horner and the whole situation at Red Bull. But so it was not announced today, but it was released today that Mohammed Ben Sulayem, who is the president of the FIA, is now currently under investigation for allegedly interfering over a Formula One race result. A whistleblower has told the FIA that Ben Sulayem allegedly intervened to overturn a penalty given to Aston Martin's Fernando Alonso at the 2023 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. This claim is a report by the FIA compliance officer to its ethics committee, which has been seen by BBC Sport. So this is off of a BBC Sport article as well. Obviously, the president of the FIA has obviously not commented and, hasn't denied the claims, but he hasn't commented. And this obviously is very new, so I wouldn't have expected any comment or statement to come out just yet. But so essentially, the specific claim is that the report Says the whistleblower reported that he pretended the stewards to overturn their decision to issue. So essentially, in Italian, the word pretendere means to require or expect. So essentially, he's expecting them to overturn the decision for a 10-second time penalty for Fernando Alonso at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Does that sound about right to you, Ash?
Yes, so the context was Fernando was given a 5-second penalty at the race for being outside of his pit box.
Yeah.
When he came in to serve that penalty, the mechanics were not allowed to touch the car, but the rear jack was put onto the car. It didn't lift the car up, but it was put onto the car. The stewards deemed that would be, I'm doing the quotation things, working on the car.
Yeah.
And then handed him a 10-second time penalty, which demoted him away from the podium and promoted George Russell.
Yeah. So this is when we had the whole podium switch around fiasco.
Yeah. And then the Aston Martin team appealed, saying that on previous occasions when penalties were given, this has happened, and the stewards have not given a penalty. And based on the fact that the whole the wording of the rule and stuff like that is not clear, what we knew at the time, they accepted that and say, yep, you're right, on previous precedent, we didn't give a penalty, so we will overturn this penalty.
This does just further prove that we need the same people at every race weekend being the adjudicators, or at the very least somebody from the previous race weekend, or somebody should be there the entire season with new different people coming in, because sometimes they're not exactly the most consistent.
Yeah, that's been a talking point for a few seasons. So, and then now what's been released was that Mohammed bin Sulaiman, or MBS, I think, as he's shortened to, was involved in the decision to overturn
allegedly
the penalty.
Involved.
We don't have any more background. It could be like the extreme end, which is like, hey, you know, Aston Martin, Aramco, Saudi Arabia, we don't want them demoted. Or it could be like where maybe I'm doing the quote, the right reason is like, look at previous precedent, you didn't apply it there, let's follow those rules and then re-clarify the rules. So obviously people want to go for the straight dramatic one and say like, oh, he's interfering with races, we don't actually know. But it's interesting that a whistleblower has come out now to talk about this, and
it's very
when
odd.
It happened.
Yeah,
not sure what the reason is for that.
It's odd timing.
It's very odd timing, you know. But you know, this is Formula One. It's just crazy. But I think we'd need some more information to be released and see what MBS comes out of the statement. But if it is for nefarious reasons, that is very, very scary, because we don't know what other races have been interfered with. Abu Dhabi 2021.
It had to be said,
right? We don't know what other races have been interfered with,
if any.
Especially like, I'm not saying it's happened or anything, just as a hypothetical. Like, hey, we really want Red Bull to win the Austrian Grand Prix. We really want Max to win the Dutch Grand Prix. We want Lewis to win the British Grand Prix.
Well, do you not remember he won the British Grand Prix after that attempted murder on Max Verstappen? So only a 10-second time penalty.
Yeah, it calls into question the integrity of the sport, the integrity of the governing bodies. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of it, if anything. Yeah, your thoughts, Jacob?
If it's happened once, it's probably happened before. That's my thing. I think that, let's be honest, I think that the case that in this necessary case, I think that Aston Martin presented very clear evidence as to, you know, this is why we feel as though it should be overturned, right? This was the penalty. This is previous times where it hasn't been implemented, and essentially they showed there's a flaw in the rule book, and you know, we haven't really done anything wrong. And I would argue not really, no. I'd argue that having a jack touching the car, I think that's fine, in all honesty.
Yeah, because in a way, you can't change the tyres unless the car's jacked up.
True. but you also can't change the tyres unless the jack's touching the car. But I mean, like, for me,
do you know what I mean?
I
like,
think
if
it would
the
be fine.
jack is touching the car, but it's not, I can see where they're coming from. It's not lifted up. So technically, we couldn't have worked on the car.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I think the rule is just nothing, no one touches that car until the penalty is served.
Yeah. I think that or they need to have a specific penalty box. Like, you know, they have the weigh bridge where they weigh all the cars. You need to stop in this penalty area for 10 seconds before you carry on. Or, in all honesty, why not just add the time on at the end of the race? Like, that would probably solve every single problem ever.
But I think it makes it more interesting.
It does make it more interesting, but you get if you wanted to make it easy, every single penalty is added on at the end of the race. Esteban Ocon. But for me, I feel as though, this is from knowing almost no information around it other than what the BBC have reported on, is that more than likely, even if MBS hadn't got involved, it probably would have been overturned anyway. However, his pressure made it easier to do. That's my thing. So it's also a little bit silly that he intervened on this occasion. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what comes out of it. We'll just have to wait and see. But it's not a good look at all.
Yeah, it's not a good look, no. Because like you said, if it's happened now, probably happened before.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, again, I am in no way attacking the man. However, he is not. This isn't his only or first controversy. There's also, there's also, and this is just what's being reported. This is not me trying to be an arse. This is also him blocking 6 months, an agreement between the teams and commercial rights holder to double the number of sprint weekends for 2023. He received a cease and desist letter from F1's lawyers following his reaction on social media to a story claiming that Saudi Arabia's public investment fund had tried to buy the sport for $20 billion. And the emergence of a historical website where he had been quoted making misogynistic remarks. So, I mean, he's not squeaky clean, apparently, or seemingly, allegedly. But so that leads me into the Red Bull debate. So, and here's where I'm making the leap, is that, I don't know if you knew this, but Christian Horner was married at the time when he met Jerry, who is his current wife, and some relations may have happened, and he left his wife, who was pregnant at the time, for Jerry, right? And so, repeat offender, maybe potentially, allegedly, with everything happening at the moment within Red Bull around his behaviour and stuff like that. So that's where my repeat offender segue into this Red Bull stuff. That was what I was going for. So, what on earth is happening at Red Bull? It is completely exploded. It is absolutely ridiculous as like what's going on, and nobody seems to know exactly what's going on with anything. And also, it's so messy at the moment.
Yeah, it's like who's seeing these contracts? Oh, Max has this release clause. It's like who's seeing these contracts, right? But it just seems like, oh, we can't beat them on track, so we'll try and beat them off the track.
Yeah, it's very odd. There seems to almost be like fractions within,
it seems to be a huge
within Red Bull,
power struggle,
like power struggles within Red Bull, and it like Helmut's involved and Christian Horner's involved, and not Dietrich,
Joss is involved.
Joss is involved. Max doesn't seem to be, but the Austrian owners seem to be involved as well. Like, oh my god, it's a complete mess. Outrageous, and that's allegedly meant that Ford are keeping an eye on the situation and trying to see if they can back out of their deal, because they see themselves as a family company, and obviously what's happened is not very family friendly, is it? Let's be honest. So obviously we're referencing Christian Horner's alleged inappropriate behavior / abuse of power / whatever it is. We don't really know what he was being accused of, but I mean, pretty much most sort of clued in F1 fan will have been sent a link to a Google Drive over the weekend. And so obviously in there are alleged messages and stuff like that between Christian and somebody else. And it all seems to have completely exploded. And I really, really think that it's going to be a very interesting few weeks or even months off track regardless of what happens on track.
Well, it seems that when they can, what would be the correct term? Put a lid on it, something else pops up.
Yeah, so literally, yeah.
They did the investigation, Red Bull, and said, like, we found what's happened, not to remove Christian from his position. And that kind of should be the end of that.
Well,
right?
You say that, however...
Until someone, maybe his name rhymes with Vos Verstappen, someone
allegedly
sent an email to the teams, the FIA, to all of the press, and Jos Verstappen was included on that, which is a little bit of an outlier, with containing a Google Drive that allegedly has...
You're missing a key detail. So apparently, the management of Red Bull, like as in the owner, had decided to get rid of Horner. However, Horner's lawyers intervened and stopped him from being removed. Apparently, he was offered the chance to step aside and like have it amicably, like you can step down and blah 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 blah. But Christian Horner's lawyers intervened. Apparently, a statement was ready to go on February 2nd, so the day after the Lewis Hamilton news broke as well, by the way.
Where did you hear this?
It's all over X, like all over Twitter.
I don't go Twitter,
and so that's allegedly what happened. And then so the Red Bull leadership have then backed down from removing him from his post. And then this, like they say, look, we've completed the investigation. We're not going to take any further action or whatever. And then this Google Drive has come out of nowhere from Mr. Verstappen, allegedly. But then Jos has also come out and said that he needs to step down because his controversy is, and I quote, driving the team apart. Horner has obviously refused to say whether or not any of these messages or whatever are genuine or whatever. But Jos has been quoted as saying, it cannot continue in this way. The situation is not good for the team and is driving people apart. And to twist the knife even more, guess who Jos was talking to and stayed in the same hotel as over the Bahrain Grand Prix weekend?
A certain Toto Wolff?
A certain Toto Wolff, yes. So now the rumour is that he's going to go to Mercedes for 2025 because apparently Helmut Marko is ready to step back because he doesn't want to be involved in this. And let's be honest, he's like 809. He doesn't do this for the money. He just does it because he loves the sport type thing. So he could step away, meaning that then clause is activated in Max's contract where if he leaves, that Max can then leave so that he can then go to Mercedes for 2025.
Yeah, I mean, these clauses in the contract, I don't understand who's seen them and what these clauses are. Like, contracts are pretty harsh. Like, I've not seen your employment contract.
Do you want to? I can send you a copy.
No, please don't.
It's very boring.
But what I don't understand is what they get out of this. What does Jos get out of this?
So
literally, like, what does Jos get out?
Yeah, so Jos doesn't like
a team that's winning races.
Yeah, but Jos doesn't like Horner.
Okay, but his son is in a team that's winning races. He seems to be happy, right? Red Bull also allow Max to do his own things.
Yeah,
GT racing, all the sim stuff and all that. If he goes to a Mercedes, very likely, whoever gets that Red Bull seat, it'll be between him and Perez next year to win the championship.
Yeah.
He's got a contract until 2028. So obviously the clauses will be like, because obviously if they buy Max out of this contract, it'll be very, very expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Hence let's find a clause or whatever.
But I'll be honest with you, Mercedes have the money to buy Max out of his contract. Guarantee it.
If they have the money to buy Max out of his contract, they have the money to keep Lewis Hamilton.
Well, maybe this is a knee-jerk reaction. That's all I'm going to say. But, I mean, Mercedes' team budget used to be around $300 million. So they've got the money.
But, again, that's just not smart.
I know it's not smart. I'm just telling you what the team budget used to be and that the money would be there somewhere.
Still not smart to say. I don't understand I want to understand the why between this power struggle.
For me,
what's the why?
For me, also, it doesn't make sense for Max to go to Mercedes after Abu Dhabi 21. That seems like a very odd situation.
Nah, I don't think they care. He's
They probably won't. But I'm just saying it.
And also, it wasn't Max that did anything.
No, Max didn't do anything wrong whatsoever.
Max didn't do anything wrong. It was more. Well, again, we're not going to talk about it. Yeah. But I want to understand the why behind this power struggle, right? What is let's just take the players involved, right?
Yeah.
There's Christian Horner.
Yeah.
So this is what we allegedly know, what the rumors are flying out.
Yeah.
Apparently, Christian wants more control.
Yeah.
Over the team, right? And drivers and who's coming in, and VCARB. Helmut Marko seems to have that control.
Yes.
Right. He seems to have the control. The Thai owners apparently they back Horner.
I don't know. I've got no idea. Maybe.
Apparently they're on Horner's side. And the Austrian side, I think Oliver Mintzlaff and Dietrich Mateschitz' son, apparently they're on Helmut Marko's side.
Yeah.
This is what I've heard. I could be completely wrong. If I'm wrong, comment down below. Tell us what's going on. Apparently, also one of the things in the previous contract with Dietrich Mateschitz was, because the Thai owned the majority of Red Bull, they've got 41, Mateschitz have 49, is that I have the final say over the racing decisions.
Yeah.
I can get rid of someone, I can bring something in. Now, when he passed away, essentially that's gone. So there is a bit of a power struggle there on who controls the racing side of the team.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going to happen with Max and Adrian Newey.
Yeah.
And Sergio is there like, so what's going on?
All Sergio can do.
Sergio is like, what was it, Las Vegas or something?
Yeah.
Was the race where he just looked really confused?
Yeah, well, after it was like, that bloke shouted
is.
in his face. Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce Buffer, the UFC announcer. So, yeah, he's probably like, hopefully I can just get a quick renewal in there.
I mean, if he gets P2 in the championship, I mean, you can't really not give him a seat.
No. And if okay, let's segue slightly before we go back into this whole Red Bull drama.
Sure.
If Max Verstappen goes to Mercedes next year, who will Red Bull pick to take that seat? Does his name rhyme with Fernando Alonso?
I couldn't tell you.
Can you imagine if Fernando Alonso was behind this whole thing just to get that Red Bull seat? It's like, this man is playing fucking 8D chess.
Or is it Perez trying to get rid of Max so that he guarantees himself a seat? Because he's like, well, if they only want to, see what one seat's going on, if I get rid of the other seat, I've got one guaranteed.
Is it Daniel Ricciardo?
Is it Daniel Ricciardo? Who knows?
Who knows, man? Is this his long-term plan to get...
You know what? These were leaked WhatsApp messages. Guess who is now sponsored by a WhatsApp? Mercedes and Toto Wolff.
Oh my God,
and guess who was in the same hotel? Jos Verstappen. Things are linking.
Gets deeper and deeper, doesn't it?
Or that meme of me with the red lines of the on the board making these links.
Put that on the socials. I don't think anyone's picked up on that.
No, we should do that.
Put that on the socials. Oh man, if this is just some long-term fucking thing that started from Abu Dhabi 2021, right? This is the fucking... They should turn it into a fucking movie.
Yeah, so what Toto Wolff has done, right, is he sent James Vowles down to Williams to train up Alex Albon to put him in the Red Bull seat instead of Max, so that Max moves to Mercedes. We've done it. We've figured it out. We've got this on lock.
Oh my God. Can you imagine that? It's like Toto's like, right, James, you be the team principal for Williams. Alex is now, because he's not got over being like demoted from Red Bull. He's going to be the inside agent.
He's your inside man.
Getting information and everything like that. You're going to feed it all back to us, right?
And then we'll leak these.
And we'll put Alex in the Mercedes. Alex is a Mercedes seat there, or even a Red Bull seat for you as well.
We'll build his buzz. We'll get him some points. We'll increase the technical partnership.
We're so much more passionate talking about this in the Bahrain race.
We really are, honestly.
But yeah, what do you think is the why behind this power struggle? Now that we've gone we went on some crazy little segment there. Let's get back to this fucking drama at Red Bull.
So for me, I feel as though for some reason, you know how like opposites attract, but also people that are so similar, sometimes they don't get on. I feel as though Joss and Horner, because they're quite similar, I don't think they get on, right? Okay. And I think that's put a bee in Joss's bonnet, essentially, right? They don't get on.
Why?
Joss doesn't like him.
Is not a part of the Red Bull team in a way, right?
Exactly. So maybe
or financial. He obviously is involved with Max and the decisions he makes, but Joss is not going to be made team principal.
No. But like, I think
that's what I don't understand. Is like, why is he getting involved? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I don't know. But so I think that he doesn't like Horner, and so I think that relationship we know has been strained for a long time. And so I think that obviously he wants what's best for his son, but he's also kind of shooting himself in the foot, like Joss, shooting himself in the foot, right? But my theory is that they don't like each other, right? And so now, with obviously Dietrich passed away not last year before, was it? Or was it last year?
So,
yeah. Anyway, he passed away. And so now there is a little bit of a vacuum of power. People are trying to get sucked into, having positions of power. And with Helmut Marko, he's not getting any younger. I think he is also potentially going to step back at some point. And so I think that there's quite a lot of positional power available at the moment, essentially. And so I think that Horner would probably like to have that overview and a little bit more,
do you think little bit more ownership? Angling for like a team CEO role?
I don't know, but something like that. Like something more powerful, right?
Zach Brown,
yeah,
is like the CEO, but Andreas Stella is
the team principal. He could potentially be. I don't know, but so with that, I think that he's seen that, but Joss has seen this as a potential opportunity to sabotage him and get a little bit of payback / bring him back down to earth type thing because he doesn't like him.
Yeah.
I only say that because, again,
do you know what I realised?
This is based off of reports. Joss doesn't seem like the nicest man in the world. So
I realised people just don't grow up. You look at when you're a kid,
people never grow
adults.
Up. Yeah.
You look at adults, you think, oh wow, they've got their shit together and all that.
They don't.
And you realise when you get older, it's like
nobody has any clue what on earth they're doing 90% of the time.
Yeah, and so or the other thing I heard as a rumor was that Christian wanted shares in the Red Bull team.
Potentially, yeah.
Red Bull's like.
But do you see where my thought process is? Is that this?
I understand your thought process.
Just seeing it as a way to bring him down a peg type thing, or maybe.
Yeah, I understand your thought process, and it makes sense. I just can't get behind the wires. I don't like you. Well, I do understand that people are that petty in the world, but
yeah, they are. Yeah. And again, this is all just hypothetical. I don't know, and none of us will. Yeah,
no one knows. Know. Only a few people know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, wow.
But it is absolutely insane. It's having ripple effects as well, which nobody expected. And so we actually asked. I don't know if you saw, Ash, but I very nearly called you Alex for some reason. But I don't know if you saw, but we put up on our Instagram. And this is where I would like to get some fans involved as well. We put up on our Instagram, we want to know, taking into account all of the alleged behaviour, supposed evidence, and mess around the situation, would you keep Horner? And would you like to know what our Instagram audience said?
I would, but should I guess?
Yeah, sure. So
I think they said yes, that they would keep Horner.
We had 12 votes for yes.
Okay.
18 votes for no.
Wow.
So the majority of people, our followers, our loyal followers, by the way, if you're not following us on Instagram, please go ahead and give us a follow. 60% of our followers who participated, again, 12 votes and 18 votes isn't a lot, but 60% of our Instagram followers said that they think that Horner should step aside or they wouldn't keep Horner if they were in charge.
Wow.
So there you go. It's also very interesting, given the alleged behaviour. I'm looking at the usernames of people and jumping to a few conclusions. not one woman said that they would keep him on.
Okay.
Which I find interesting. Actually, wait, no, that's a lie. One woman did say yes, that I lied. But, I mean, that's still very interesting that of the 12 people that said yes...
if it makes sense, it makes sense that if the allegations are around
cheating,
harassment,
betraying and harassment and stuff like that, then yeah, that would make sense. But I just found that a little bit interesting because I was looking through, I was like, oh, man, oh, okay. I just found that a little bit interesting to see where people's thoughts were. I won't obviously name names or anything like that.
Yeah, it's just an opinion, and it doesn't mean anything because
no, exactly. And again, this is all based off of circumstantial evidence that nobody else has ever really confirmed either, as well. So it's very,
you know what? It'll
odd.
be interesting to run that poll again when we find out what it is.
Oh yeah, if there's a statement released or whatever, it'll be very interesting to run that again. But yeah, so I asked Instagram what they thought around that, and so yeah.
I bet you get a different answer if you ask TikTok.
Oh, probably, yeah. I should have asked TikTok as well, honestly. But yeah, so what would you do if you're Red Bull management? Seemingly there's a bit of a power struggle, but if it was down to you, everyone in the boardroom looks at you, Ash. Christian Horner is there trying to do his best. I'm a good boy. Look at you.
Yeah.
You're the last vote. Are you keeping Horner or are you getting rid of him?
I mean, there's such a politician's so many variables involved.
True.
Different information and everything like that. But right now, it is taken away from the racing team.
It is, yes.
It is taken away from the racing team. There's just too much drama happening. And here's the thing, right? Everyone in this world is replaceable.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton is replaceable.
Yeah.
Max Verstappen is Lionel Messi is replaceable. Cristiano Ronaldo is replaceable. Yeah. So, because of the amount of shit that's going on, I'd say, and if I knew all the information, but about the amount of shit going on, I would say Christian, it's just too much now. It's just way too much.
Yeah, I liken it almost to, at the moment in football, for those of you who don't know, Manchester City have won trophy after trophy after trophy, but they are currently facing 115 separate charges of breach of financial fair play. So essentially, they're facing 115 times of what Red Bull faced, breaking the cost cap a few years ago, to put it very dumbly, essentially. Because they've spent too much money or not declared it in the right ways or whatever it is, right? And so that has definitely taken the shine off of all of the achievements that the Manchester City team have achieved, right? And that's the way I see this situation in terms of it's all well and good for this season at the very least, maybe not last season because it didn't really pop up last season. But for this season, if you go ahead and you drag this out even further, let's say, for example, it goes to race 6, right? That's a third of the way through the season, a quarter of the way through the season, a third of the way through the season. That's marred your entire season because of the actions or alleged actions of one man, which are particularly positive. I think that if from the outside looking in and going off of the quote unquote evidence that's been around, for me, seemingly he has interacted inappropriately or used his position of power, maybe didn't declare his relationship with somebody that he potentially had within Red Bull, especially because obviously he has a wife at home as well. He abused his position of power, which is a fireable offence for most people, I would argue as well. And also ethically, cheating on your wife never goes down particularly well. Allegedly cheating on your wife never goes down particularly well. And that also is starting to impact other things, allegedly, again, the Ford contract as well. So for me, you either ask Christian Horner to go on a leave of absence until the whole thing is cleared up or whatever, and Jonathan Wheatley will step in for the remainder of the season or until the summer break, and then a decision will be made. Or
no.
You get rid of
it. You have to answer it the same way I did.
Yeah, and that's what I would do. At this point, I would make sure that he has some sort of clause in his contract that he can't work for another team for another year or two because of the regulations and obviously all the technical knowledge he could spill to somebody else, and I would get rid of him personally.
You'd get rid of him, yeah.
I think that it's also, like there is never, for me personally,
if you think about these companies, right?
Yeah.
Is they like Red Bull? This is marketing for them.
Yeah.
Right now, people aren't talking about Red Bull winning races or
No.
Red Bull drink. They're talking about Christian Horner.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for me, there's never in a relationship there is never any excuse for cheating. In Monopoly, there are hundreds of excuses for cheating, robbing the bank, blah 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 blah. That's fine, but this is real life.
You fight the system. But
there's never an excuse for again, based off of the alleged behaviour that he's done. There's never an excuse, right? And so for me, as Red Bull, I would have to remove him anyway, or at the very least you shuffle him on in a nice way.
Well, like I said, allegedly what it is, if it's cheating, if it's sexual misconduct, if it's
an abuse of power is essentially what it is,
right? Those things alone, we don't want that kind of culture.
If we say, for example, right, I obviously I have a girlfriend. If I started dating the intern at work but didn't tell anyone about it, especially if I'm supposed to be giving that intern work and telling her what to do, X, Y, Z, or if I'm her boss or whatever it is, right? I'm going to get in massive trouble for that, and I'm gone. I'm fired. There's no other way around it. And that's a very similar situation to seemingly what we've got at the moment.
And I'll be looking for a new podcast.
I need a drink, yeah. Oh, wow.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens on the next episode of Formula One.
Yeah, honestly. So we have Jeddah coming up this week. It is race week. We will be dropping a podcast on Thursday where we will be previewing the race. And the whole situation could have changed by then. So considering that obviously this is an ever-changing story, it will probably be entirely different by the time we get to Jeddah and our next recording on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next episode of Keeping Up with the Horners.
Keeping Up with the that should be the episode of the Keeping Up with the Keeping Up with the Horners will be the episode title of this. I think that's brilliant. Yeah, let's end it there. Because you can't really Keeping Up with the Red Bulls. I guess would probably be also absolutely fine.
I could.
I had for a title. I had Hornergate as the other title.
Do you know what was funny? Right. Was Drummond Drive to Survive when Christian was talking about then what were we watching? Was it Sunset?
Have you been a good boy?
What was the name? Selling Sunset or some other shit.
Oh yeah,
like
Selling
that.
Sunset
and
or whatever.
He's in the very thing that people watch Selling Sunset.
Yeah, the drama. Yeah,
the drama.
I will be honest though, those two bald twins, it is a little bit odd. Shari watches Selling Sunset, so yeah.
I don't know, but actually, if you're obviously watching this on YouTube or follow us on the socials and listen to the podcast, comment, let us know what you think is going on with Red Bull and why. And it'll be interesting to.
And if you have any wild WhatsApp theories, let us know.
Now we know what the WhatsApp button really does.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, every time he presses that button, another WhatsApp screenshot dropped. You think it's encrypted? Bullshit. No, I'm getting.
You know what? You know McLaren are involved because who are they sponsored by?
Google Drive. Well, Google, but Google Drive. But yeah, so
gosh, it gets bigger and bigger. The web of lies.
So many connections. So many connections.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, but yeah. So let's end the podcast there. We will be back on Thursday to review Jeddah and also F1 Academy, which is going to be fun. F1 Academy's first race will be this weekend. I haven't told you who. I think we should both pick a random driver and support them. There's a little bit of controversy around the Charlotte Tilbury driver, whose name I can't remember, and also won't mention because she said something xenophobic, allegedly, or liked a xenophobic comment on Instagram, so we won't touch that one. But I think we should both pick a driver and support them, and I've already picked my driver who I'm going to support. Bearing in mind, I know almost nothing around the driver themselves and how the whole season is going to go, so I may have picked a back runner, but we will run over that.
I know who you picked.
Oh, what? It's not Bianca.
No, but I know it's Leah Block, isn't it?
No, it's not Leah Block.
It's not Leah Block. I am a Ken Block fan.
I am a big Ken Block fan, but I have not picked Leah. I've picked somebody else to support. Although Leah will obviously be one of the ones who I'm really gunning for and really hoping she does particularly well. But no, I've picked somebody else. For some reason, I've warmed to them. I quite like them.
Okay, who's that?
I'll tell you on Thursday.
Oh, Okay. Well, I'm going to do some research. I've got the drivers up here. I'm going to watch some of the races, read their background, and decide who I'm going to support for the year. I'm supporting all of them, of course.
But yeah, supporting all of them, other than the one that apparently,
not...
supposedly, allegedly, like xenophobic messages on Instagram. But yeah, we'll talk all F1 Academy, and also as the Alpine situation is evolving, and more staff leave. We will also be reviewing that on Thursday. As I think, did you say there's a press conference coming up?
Well, they'll have the standard pre-race press conference.
The pre-race press conferences and stuff like that. Yeah, so, that will be very interesting.
I know they've made the changes, but it's Alpine. We'll give it a bit of time to settle down, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so let's wait and see what the situation is there. But I
wonder what Otmar's thinking right now.
Oh, honestly, yeah. Like, let's discuss all of that on Thursday. But we'll end it there. Let us know what you think about all the Horner situation and stuff like that. And obviously the rest of the drama in and around the F1 paddock at the moment. And we will address that in the next podcast episode.
Excellent.
Awesome. See you all soon. Cheers, everyone.